Welcome to KXAN News Today. Happening today, new opportunities for students to learn technical skills in Williamson County. Today, Texas State Technical College will break ground on an expansion at its Hutto branch. The new facility is going to house 3 programs. TSTC is a 6-year-old public college system based out of Waco. If you're in need of a summer job, you can possibly get one today in Kyle. Kyle's Parks and Rec Department is hiring for its spring and summer season, and it is hosting a hiring event today at James Adkins Pool. These jobs are for people interested in the Kyle camp and aquatic positions. And today there could be demonstrations at the Texas State Capitol building, also state capitals across the country. Comes in protest of President Trump and his policies. The group protesting is called 5051, standing for 50 protests, 50 states, 1 day. And the amount of money you pay in property taxes could decrease. Comes after Governor Greg Abbott named the issue an emergency item. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Miller. Governor Greg Abbott saying he only wants cities, school districts, and other entities to be able to increase tax rates if 2/3 of voters approve it. And as KXAN's Dylan McKim found out, that threshold hasn't been reached much in recent history.
No approval, no new taxes.
Governor Abbott said local loopholes are raising property taxes for Texans, even after the state is providing billions in property tax relief. And he wants it to stop.
When the state buys down property taxes, they initially go down and then they go back up again.
Jennifer Rabb, the president of the Texas Taxpayers and Research Association, argues the only way to control property taxes is to control property tax rates. She agrees there needs to be fixes in how property tax rates are calculated, and she thinks requiring a supermajority in property tax rate increases and bond elections makes sense.
And that's where the voters come in to ensure that what the bonded indebtedness would buy is something that they really want.
We combed through the numbers in the state's open data portal. It shows the results of those bond elections from taxing entities like school districts, cities, and counties. What we found is that over the past 6 years, of the bond elections that were approved, only 34% actually hit that 2/3 threshold. A recent example of a bond that did not reach the 2/3 threshold was the Travis County Affordable Child Care Proposition, a tax increase designed to increase child care options for families. It got nearly 60% of the vote, but not the 2/3 threshold. Mark Strama, a former state lawmaker who supported the bond, disagrees with a supermajority requirement.
To say that that's not a mandate from the people of Travis County to invest in child care, which is one of the critical drivers of affordability in this community, I think that's bad public policy.
We looked through the bills currently filed at the Capitol. None matched Governor Abbott's supermajority requirement. But a bill filed by State Rep Brian Harrison would require at least 60% of the vote to increase the voter approval tax rate. In Austin, I'm Dylan McKim.
An emergency item allows lawmakers to take action on the legislation as soon as a bill is filed. Non-emergency items have to wait until after the 60-day mark of the legislative session. Going in depth on this, during the last legislative session, lawmakers made an $18 billion deal to cut property taxes. The plan sent billions of dollars from the state's budget surplus to local school districts so districts could drive down school property tax rates. The deal also increased the homestead exemption for Texas homeowners. Texas voters had to approve a constitutional amendment to allow that plan to take effect.
First warning weather with meteorologist Kristen Curry.
Well, good Wednesday morning. Let's start up in Williamson County. This is our Ewell Kubota weather camera there in Georgetown, highlighting some clouds up top. We'll also be looking for some clouds underneath. No dense fog out there yet, but I think kind of like yesterday and the day before, it is certainly possible as we get closer to daybreak. So I will keep an eye on visibility readings for you. In the meantime, we are walking out to temperatures in the 60s for most of us. A little cooler though up in the far northern counties here. A little bit of that cool air behind a cold front that got hung up to our north yesterday, starting to creep south, but it's just in the 50s. It's not cold, just relatively cooler than those of us a little further south. 81 today, very close to the daily record of 82. South winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And we're also going to be looking at a 10% chance of some drizzle this morning. Nothing big, nothing heavy, nothing widespread either, but a few spots of drizzle are certainly possible here over the next coming hours. Coming up, we We are flirting with records for the next several days, but that comes to an end with a cold front this weekend. Temperatures dropping, rain chances increasing getting into next week. We'll talk more about it coming up in your first warning forecast.
Thank you, Kristen. A North Texas man convicted in the death of an Arlington pastor set to be executed today in Huntsville. A jury convicted Stephen Nelson in a robbery that led to Clint Robson's death a decade ago. In an interview with News Nation, Nelson said he was innocent and argued he was only the lookout. He said he didn't know a murder happened during the robbery.
People do deserve second chances. You know, I'm not a lost cause. I'm not beyond help. I'm not broken.
Nelson claims that during the trial, his lawyers did not share all the evidence. He also maintains other suspects tied to this case are not being punished as harshly. The Tarrant County District Attorney says Nelson was convicted based on, quote, overwhelming physical and circumstantial evidence. An update now to those protests from Monday night. Austin police saying there was a pair of arrests during demonstrations that got out of hand in North Austin. This happened near North Lamar and Runberg Lane. Officers say at some point, some people were throwing rocks at police and driving recklessly, endangering those who were there to demonstrate. The crowd eventually dispersed, but some returned, engaging in this kind of behavior, some of it violent. APD says pepper balls were used, trying to disperse the crowd. People once again began to clear out, but they say one person refused to leave, and that person was arrested for being a pedestrian in the roadway. Police say another demonstrator was arrested for reckless driving earlier that afternoon. And the U.S. Postal Service is temporarily suspending all inbound packages from China and Hong Kong. Comes after the U.S. imposed a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods. The Postal Service says letters and large envelopes sent from China and Hong Kong will not be affected. We are not being told why this is happening, though. An executive order also eliminates a trade loophole that allows exporters to ship packages worth less than $800 into the U.S. duty-free. Good morning. It's February, but it's feeling more like April. With the sun warming you up, you might feel like you want to go find a body of water, go out for a swim. Well, there is one less option available for now. This one, Hamilton Pool. Recent rain and high bacteria levels closed the pool. Temporarily closed, actually, for the last 2 years for the same reason at some point. Could reopen as soon as tomorrow, and while it's closed, you can still enjoy the rest of the 230-acre preserve out there.
Live look outside, dark and early. Sunrise this morning, 7:18. Sunset will be 6:11. So we have about 10 hours and 52 minutes daylight ahead of us. We'll talk about just how much sunshine we'll get during those daytime hours coming up here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, it was a jet-setting year for the Austin airport. Last year, 2024, going down as the second busiest year on record. AUS saw its nearly 22 million passengers last year. It's a lot of bodies going through. After 2 record-setting years in a row, 2024 just barely missed the mark. Last year did see the busiest month of all time, though. May recorded nearly 2.7 million passengers. So 2024 was number 2. Beat out by 2023, the busiest year at AUS.
Thank you, Kristen. State lawmakers filed a resolution honoring Houston native Beyonce after her historic wins at the Grammys this past weekend. On Sunday, Beyonce took home the coveted Album of the Year award, marking her first win in the category, the first time a black woman won the award since Lauryn Hill in 1999. Her win marked the first time a black woman won a Grammy for country music in 50 years, and the first time a black artist won Best Country Album. All right, well, they creep, they crawl, and in some cases, they remind you of your ex. Valentine's Day, the San Antonio Zoo hosting Cry Me a Cockroach. There you can name a roach or something else after your ex. The event available for people 18 and older. And look, your ex will be eaten by something like that. You can actually purchase a pest of your choice, so it's a cockroach or a rodent or even a vegetarian-friendly veggies option. Maybe like a bunch of lettuce after your ex. And then you offer it up as a tasty treat. And the donations range from $5 to $25 to help fund the zoo's initiatives. There's going to be other events for those in love or those seeking their next match too. If you're not just bitter.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're not judging you if you are.
Yeah, we're not judging you. We've all been there.
They do this every year, and I think it is so creative. And I love that they use it as a fundraiser for the zoo.
I know. I will say, I don't, and I've told you specifically this before. I don't think I have an ex who I would name a cockroach after, but I'm sure I have.
You have exes that have roaches named Tom. Yeah. They're like, this is so weird. We have 25 roaches, all named Tom.
Tom Miller specifically.
Tom Miller, the news guy.
Yes.
I mean, it is creative. I don't know if I would go as far as a roach, but listen, you catch me on a bad day, the day of a breakup, and I just might. Let me show you what's going on with your forecast here. Of course, as we get closer to Valentine's Day, that's not this Friday, but next, we will, of course, get you that date night forecast. But in the meantime, let's enjoy this kind of spring-like weather that we are in, I should say. The West Shore home camera is still showing quite a bit of that low cloud cover. As mentioned, we're in this pattern of morning clouds, afternoon sunshine, and warm temperatures. That's really not going to go away in the short term. 67 degrees. I can get used to these mild mornings. Can you? It's been nice with variable winds and humidity certainly on the higher side. Temperatures close to where we were yesterday. As mentioned, a little cooler up towards the north. That temperature change about 5 to 10 degrees, but I do anticipate our afternoon highs to be very close to where we were yesterday. We go from the 60s to the lower 80s. There's just going to be a 10% chance of some spots of drizzle within those low clouds this morning. Nothing that looks to give us much, but I think there's a little bit more moisture to play with today, so we'll include just a 10% chance of sprinkles and drizzle, and then getting towards the later part of the afternoon, early evening, mainly clear skies before those clouds get right back in here overnight into tomorrow. Tomorrow playing out very similar to today. We just won't include a rain chance. As far as the highs go, low 80s today. Likely to tie the record tomorrow with the high of 83. 85 Friday, coming within 1 degree of the record, and then forecasting record-breaking heat by the time we hit Saturday. So that's what I mean when I say flirting with records, because over the next 4 afternoons, we're either going to tie, break, or come within 1 degree of the daily records, and some of them going back to 1925. That will be for tomorrow. So it is going to be a very, very warm finish to the week, but this weekend brings changes. Here's what I mean. Cold front comes in Sunday morning. There will be some cooler air behind it, but that front looks to go stationary on us. And what that means is it's going to kind of sit over the region and provide lift with a southerly flow on top of that. We could see some rain chances as early as Sunday, but more likely to see that Monday and Tuesday. So right now, I think next week is trending cooler, not cold. Cooler with a better chance of rain coming Monday, Tuesday, and that will be accompanied with some thunderstorm possibilities. That said, when we put it together in your 7-day forecast, we've got highs in the low 80s today and tomorrow, mid to even upper 80s Friday and Saturday. Look at Saturday's high. I mean, we're closing in on close to 90 degrees as we get into the second week of February at that. And then we get a little bit more normal, if you will, behind that cold front. These temperatures Sunday still above average, but will drop below Monday, Tuesday. Rain chances now up to 40 to 50%. No widespread freeze right now, but some cooler mornings as we wake up to 40s by next Tuesday morning. Tom?
Thanks, Kristen. There is some bad news for diner and breakfast lovers. Soaring egg prices have hit Waffle House. The diner chain just added a 50-cent surcharge to all egg items on the menu. The surcharge went into effect Monday at its more than 2,000 locations. Waffle House says the price hike is temporary, and this is because of that egg shortage that we've been talking about for a while now, caused by the spread of the bird flu. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says more than 13 million hens have been lost or slaughtered since December. Some 6th Street businesses here in Austin say sales have dropped ever since the city put up fences. It was part of a plan to open the street back up to traffic. And as KXAN's Brianna Hollis reports, these daytime destinations say they'll gladly deal with this dip in cash flow if the city commits to its long-term promise of revitalizing the street.
And how long have you guys all been on 6th Street?
I've been here since 1990, so I've been here for 35 years.
20 years.
This year's at 20 years.
Wow. These are the owners of Lucky Lizard and Rapolo's Pizza, two businesses that have stood side by side on 6th Street for decades. They all had the same thought when they first saw these new fences go up a couple weeks ago.
Once I got down here and looked, I thought, interesting.
Because this did take us by surprise. You know, we didn't know this was happening. We showed up one day and we're like, whoa, what is this?
The fences are a pilot as part of a phased approach to open 6th Street back up to cars full time. But these business owners who draw a lot of daytime crowds versus late night visitors say sales have dropped handily since the fences went up.
Initially, when we came in one day and these barriers were up, we were kind of upset about it.
Mindsets shifted when they realized the fences aren't a permanent solution. The city says the goal eventually is to permanently widen the sidewalk and have bollards or some other kind of barriers protecting pedestrians from cars. And it's that long-term plan that these stakeholders are holding out for.
If this temporary pilot has to be done to do the research and figure out what works, what not works, I think it's worth the small setback.
But that only stands, they say, if the changes actually come.
Check on it and make sure that the promises and the projects are getting done.
Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
All right, well, right before the Super Bowl, there's a report out that claims the New Orleans Saints helped protect predatory Catholic priests. The Associated Press first reported this, an unlikely alliance in 2020. This is after a list of clergymen accused of sexual abuse became public. Now emails obtained by the Associated Press claim that there was this list, and before it was ever public, the team executives were some of the first people outside the church to see it. In these emails, they show that the Saints team president was drafting prep questions for an archbishop to face reporters, and a 2018 phone call with the city's top prosecutor to take certain people off the list.
The Saints shouldn't have been involved in something like this. I mean, this is a criminal matter. This is a generational long criminal matter. But if they wanted to get involved, from my perspective, it should have been from representing the people who love them and respect them, and representing the victims to a degree.
In a lengthy statement, the team criticized the media for using, quote, leaked emails for the purpose of misconstruing a well-intended effort. All right, well, almost all of us with the Agency for International Development Workers across the globe, let me restart there. Almost all of the Agency for International Development Workers across the globe are going to be placed on leave as President Trump moves to dismantle the agency. Nearly 10,000 employees of USAID, except for essential personnel, were notified yesterday of being placed on administrative leave at the end of Friday. The statement said it is preparing a plan for personnel stationed outside the U.S., saying the agency would arrange and pay for return travel to the U.S. within 30 days. Terminate contracts that are not determined to be essential.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Longhorns home tonight at Moody, taking on Arkansas. Texas coming off that impressive win at LSU. Arkansas also feeling good. Their biggest win of the season at Kentucky on Saturday. Of course, another rivalry renewed from the old Southwest Conference. Last time they played was 2018. They've not played on a home floor in Austin since 2011. And Rodney Terry knows when they go to Fayetteville, life's going to be tough. So he wants it that way tonight for the Hogs.
The rival with Arkansas is huge, and again, we need a very difficult place to play in come Wednesday night. We need Moody to be rocking at another level, because we know we go over to Fayetteville, it'd be sold out over in Fayetteville when the Hornets come to town. But it's that big a rival. It's a big deal, and it's a great rivalry in college athletics to have our two institutions competing again at a very high level.
Last night in Oklahoma, that's Jahdae Barron with that red jacket signifying a Thorpe Award winner as the top defensive back in the country. Conley High School grad, alongside Michael Heff there, who won it in 2005. Obviously thrilled to get honored, but also thrilled to be part of this Texas football resurgence the last couple of years.
Just to be a part of a change and to be a part of the Burnt Orange family at the University of Texas, it means the world. You know, a lot of legends, they create the path for me. And another thing I always tell myself, honor the ones that paved the way for me and then leave a legacy for the ones that came after me. So I could truly say that I did that. And I'm a little Jim to Michael Huff. You know, he's big Jim and I'm a little Jim.
Yeah, cool. Michael Huff made the trip. Also, Aaron Ross, another Thorpe Award winner from Texas. Back to you.
Coming up, how Austin Public Health is helping police as they look for victims in a sexual assault case involving kids. You're listening to the KXAN Today podcast. Thanks for being with us. Hope you'll join us on air for that story. And all our stories are on our website right now, KXAN.com.